Howdy there. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Sorry, I've been out for a while, a few months in fact, but I ended up having surgery. I'm back, I'm well, and fit as a fiddle, so I want to really start concentrating on my YouTube channel. I thought I would give you a quick tour today, but before I do, just understand I have been out. I haven't really gotten everything done that I need to have done out here, so I have fairly a good hot mess. So anyway, I'm going to show you around and explain a few things and go from there. First of all, this is a lemon balm back here, and see how it's wilted? Well, that's from the heat. Right now, it's right at noon, and it's 93 degrees. It's going to get a lot hotter than that today with the heat advisory in effect. So that's why I won't have this. Will not be very long, but this is one plant. I've harvested it once mid-spring, and what I've done is I've just kept clipping it back, pruning it so it would branch out more. And now it's pretty bushy. It's fairly healthy, and hopefully I'll get another harvest out of it soon. This is a pepper. I have it over here kind of to protect it from the sun. This time of year, it's so hot. All the peppers are very small. They're still producing, sort of. The ones that were already budded and started before the heat set in are still growing. The buds that I'm currently getting, it's definitely flowering, but with all my peppers, they're falling off. They can't handle the heat. The only thing I can do at this point is try to keep them healthy, and then hopefully come fall when it starts cooling off, I'll have another good bumper crop. This is a stevia. It's definitely time to harvest this. I need to do it within a day or two because, as you can see, it's starting to flower. This is a skullcap. I can harvest this at any time. The flowers are fine to be on it when I harvest it, and I just dry those along with the plant. This is really good. It's a relaxant, I guess. It kind of makes you sleepy. I like taking it at night. I'll drink it in a tea. It's one of my favorite herbs. I don't know what I'm doing with this. I just thought they were pretty and decided to grow a few. People call this toothache plant or bullseye numbing plant, but basically the flowers and the leaves are edible. It's totally harmless, but it gives you a numbing effect on whatever it touches. So I thought about making a sore throat tincture with it, and I'm still probably going to try that, but I'll wait until fall before I harvest it. This here is my poor little peppermint plant, and it's been struggling because even though I water it every day, it's really root bound. I think what I'm going to do, and I just started this. I bought the plant. These are really hard to start from seed, so I didn't even want to try. So I bought the plant from Home Depot. And I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and take some cuttings off of it. And of course try to keep this one alive, but just in case I lose it, I'll have some cuttings from it. This is just an onion chive. I come out here when I'm making a salad or doing a saute and grab a few. It's very nice and convenient to have on hand. These have quickly become my favorite peppers. They're habaneros. They taste very similar to a habanero, but they're not hot. They're real sweet, but they have a really good tangy flavor to them. Highly recommend them. These two in the pots are doing great. I know the leaves look a little bit yellowing right now, and they are struggling, but that's really the heat. It's not the plant itself. So once fall comes around, I have high hopes that these will start producing more. I have gotten a ton of peppers off of these. So far, these two plants, I've canned 8 jars of pickled peppers, and I've been using them for snacks. They're great just to take one and dip it in ranch or blue cheese. And I slice them up and put them in salads. So it's a very versatile, prolific, healthy plants. I have had no problem, even with the ones and I'll show them in a minute, in the planter boxes. I had no problem with fungus or anything else on them. This is a little orange bell, or actually it's a select orange or something like that. It's a hybrid that I got from Home Depot. And some of the buds are falling and some's not. So we'll see. I think I'm still going to get more peppers. It has also produced really well. Now, earlier when it was cooler, the peppers got quite large. They were about 3 or 4 inches long, and now, of course, with the heat, they've gotten a lot smaller. But these taste just like a bell pepper, and it's very convenient if there's only one or two of you, and you don't want to have to cut up a whole bell pepper. You just use a couple of these, and you can't tell the difference. They're really good. Here's my cayenne pepper. I only have one hot pepper, and this is as hot as I want to go. And we don't eat these. I'll dry them, and I'll use it to make like I don't know, different dishes. I always like to have a little bit of powder on hand, not much, because we don't use very much. But it's good for, I have a sore throat remedy I make, and I use a cayenne pepper with it, believe it or not. And a couple of other herbal remedies that I use hot peppers on. So that's one plant, and this is giving me right now, I have 4 racks drying. So this is giving me plantain. One is all I need. This is my strawberry. These are all Ozark Beauties. And if you've watched my channel in the past, I transplanted all of them from my bed over here. I'll show you in a minute. And I transplanted them at a time that was really hot. I recently, when I got it was kind of late when I got the planters, so it was hot when I transplanted them, and a lot of them I lost. But what I'm doing is I'm letting these runners grow, and I'm just tucking them into one of the little pockets and using the paper clip to seal them down. And so before you know it, I'll have this whole thing filled up with strawberries. Now, if I would have cut these runners, I would have still gotten strawberries. Ozark Beauties are great. They're everbearing, and they will give you strawberries basically from about early March to September. I mean, they're really good. So my whole plan is to have this whole thing, green stalk, filled with strawberries. And hopefully by next spring I will have that done. We'll see. This is just a little experiment. This is a yellow pear. I got the seeds free from Baker Creek, and I've grown yellow pears in the past, and I really like them. It's the only tomato that I have found that's really heat resistant. On this one, I don't even have any shade cloth or anything, and it's getting a southern exposure. But I wanted to see what they do in a pot, and that's the reason I've got this one over here. And it's already actually got some little buds on it, as you can see right here. But I'm going to take those off because it's really, one, it's too hot for those to produce anything, and two, I would like all the energy to go into growing, so I took those off. This is Echinacea, and I use the roots to make an antiviral, antibacteria, and that white stuff on them, as you'll see, it's on quite a few of my plants, is diatomaceous earth. I put that on there because it's so hot right now. I really don't even want to use neem oil, because even though I do it in the late at night, it can still burn the leaves if it gets too, if it's above 90 degrees. So I don't like using it this time of year. All I do is use a little bit of diatomaceous earth and hope for the best. This is struggling. This was all really weeded. This thing was full of weeds, and I went out one night and I haven't finished it yet, and weeded about half the bed, so I still have half to go, and hopefully I'll be able to get that done in the next few nights. And then back here I've got a couple of mullein. They love the heat and they like it dry, so they're very easy to grow. I have asthma, and I have a son that has asthma, so you'll see a lot of mullein spread out through my yard. We could go wild harvest it even around here, but unfortunately most of it is growing near farm fields and near the road, and I don't like wild harvesting anything that's near a farm because you don't know if they're using insecticides or herbicides. And of course the roads, they do use pesticides and herbicides against the roadways, so I don't like harvesting unless I know for sure it's in the wild, that it's been in a safe environment. And they're so easy to grow, I just do it myself. This is a Gerber daisy, and they're both still producing very well. I need to deadhead all of this, so just keep that in mind. This is a zinnia that has gone wild. Most of my zinnias I've already pulled up, but I have a couple left for the birds, or for the bees. And here's a marigold, and there's another one of those toothache plants. Several more marigolds, another stevia, and then this mess here is a few holy basil and a few cinnamon basils. I like to use both in teas, so I need to really harvest this and cut it back where the marigolds gone in. And then, unfortunately, when I was in the hospital, my husband was taking care of my plants, and because I don't have a soaker hose on this one, which I should have had, he forgot to water them. So I've lost quite a few strawberries, and the weeds have taken over. So I need to clean this up, but it's okay because I planned on getting rid of these and then joining these two beds and maybe growing some ginger back here. Not sure yet. Still looking at my options. This here is just a oregano with another mullein plant, and I don't do anything except maybe once in a while weed it and water it, and it flourishes on its own. It grows here year round because this is in a protected corner of my yard. It doesn't freeze, and I can just come out and get oregano whenever I want. Same with the thyme and the sage. They do very well here. They're protected so they don't freeze, and I can have it year round. This was a catnip over here, and unfortunately, I got a really good harvest off of it, but this bed as well does not have a soaker hose, so it kind of got neglected, and my catnip never came back after I harvested it, so that's okay. I've got seeds. I'll have more next year. And then, of course, a couple more mullein plants. I have planted my fall tomatoes. I've only planted these here, keeping them far apart so there'll be less trimming, and I'm just gonna not really let them grow wild, but let them branch out a little bit more, see how they do. We don't have as bad of a fungus problem in the fall as we do in the spring and summer, so we'll see how they go. But I just grew what I had seeds for, and these are beefsteak. And then this one over here is a yellow pear. Notice I have a shade cloth because it gets so hot here. And the sun is so bright, it will actually burn tomatoes. So I shade them for a couple of months, and then once it cools off, I can take the shade cloth off and let them start producing tomatoes. Here are some more peppers. I have a couple of bell peppers and then a couple of those habaneros here. They're not producing as well as the ones on the patio because the ones on the patio is a southern exposure. This is facing east. I'm still getting quite a few peppers. And what's really surprising me, I've had fungus on this plant and on them, but not on these two. And I'm so impressed with these. So I will definitely, unfortunately, I bought a whole package of seeds. So I've got plenty of seeds for next year. And I'll grow some by themselves next year so they don't cross-pollinate and actually harvest some of the seeds from them. This is my little cantaloupe, or cucumbers. They're Market More that I started over here. And notice I have these clear glass water jugs on top of them. That's to keep the caterpillars and the grasshoppers off of them. So once they fill up this pot, once they fill up the jugs, I'll take them off, and then they'll be big enough and strong enough to withstand a little bit of grasshopper damage. But until then, they're on here. This was my watermelon patch. I had 4 watermelons in here, and I did get some watermelons off of them. This one is doing really well. The one watermelon that came off of it, it actually burst. We had gotten a pretty bad rainstorm, and it wasn't ripe when it burst. But the other 3 has succumbed to fungus. This one, I sprayed it down real good with some copper soap, and I think it's going to pull back. I have been, if I see any fungus, I've been pulling off the leaves that I see it on, and I've trimmed it back some. But I do have somewhere another watermelon growing. So I'm hoping that I get another watermelon. And also I've got some flower buds coming out. So I can keep this here until probably about October when I start to plant my onions. So hopefully I'll get some watermelons before then. We'll see. This bed, I got to go to Home Depot and get a soaker hose and some more mulch, but I plan on planting carrots either tonight or this weekend. It's supposed to be cooling off, so I may wait a few days, but I want to be all ready for them. So anyway, that's all I have. My pathetic little garden right now. This is basically the worst case, that worst condition that my garden has been in quite a while. I have a lot of work to do out here, but you know what? That just gives me something to look forward to. So I hope to chat with you later. Thank you for finding me on YouTube, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Bye now.